are now listening to United 96 Podcast on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. United 96 here on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network. Ted here, John here, and we are teeing up here for a special guest interview
Midweek.
with Mr. Midweek
bonus
interview. This will probably be out for Patreons first. I'm going to go ahead and say
it'll be out for Patreons first, probably Tuesday, and then out to everybody else on Wednesday.
Yep, absolutely. That's how we roll with that. So definitely check out. Great interview with him. A lot of cool stuff he talked about with that. So
do we want to briefly, so he doesn't have to wait a full week on it, briefly touch on the on the news of the day from a DC United perspective? The Lucy Rushton interview with Tom Bogert.
Yeah, man. You see, John just says, "Hey, let's start. This is some insight. Just, hey, you want to do a pre-card?" He doesn't let me prep. But yes, we can talk about the Lucy Rushton portion of the interview. John, you have some thoughts, so you go right ahead and start.
No, I thought so. So Lucy Rushton, in her probably third media availability ever since she's been here, went with Tom Bogert, MLS employee, the breaker of news. He's the scoop guy. Who's the guy for football or basketball, like the
Waz bombs is what they
Waz
call
bomb. He's like a Waz bomb, Bogart bomb. I don't know. Sort of talking to Lucy about what's been going on, about Wayne, about the roster, and there wasn't anything really super notable. There was questions sort of about. They didn't take any questions, but it was sort of about like, are we backing Wayne? I think one new DP is bound to come in. I think they're being realistic, and I think to both you and I's approval, not going to rush both two here, particularly in a season where they're unlikely to make the playoffs. Like, take some time, figure out in the offseason who's going to be your target.
It does seem like they've had some targets that have sort of fallen through. So I think right now what I've seen, I'm okay with one. And by the way, this interview was Tom Bogart retweeted out. This was with actually David Goss from MLS Soccer, but still
MLS employee though.
Yeah, MLS employee.
Yeah.
So it was, it's. I think a lot of people. I think Lucy has. I'm going to be sympathetic towards Lucy a little bit on this. She has a tough job. I think a lot of people obviously are holding her feet to the fire about the playoff comments, and I thought you said this was a winning team. I truly believe that at a certain point, it may have been the first few weeks, there was a clear revelation that this team was not good enough. But you never want to say, oh no, these guys are terrible. These guys stink. Like we're not, we're going to, we're not going to we're not going to be good. We need to be better. Like you're very rarely ever going to say that because for a lot of reasons. I think they realized that pretty quick. I think they were looking to make moves, and now those moves are coming. I think the question I think everybody has about Lucy right now, again, and we have the same question, is how much control does each person have? We know they say it's a collaborative effort. I think obviously this is going to be a question going on, and I think it's good that she does media interviews because Dave Casper, I can remember one media interview he's done, and that's been with Roach. Yep. So I think it's good that they're getting her out, they're getting somebody out there.
Yeah, he's on a desert island. He is like a one of those isolated like island fortresses from World War II. That's sort of where I think that's where he lives. The only thing that's really important here is that 4-4-2 is the going formation that we understand that we're building towards. So that's something that some people have been wondering about, sort of from a center back perspective. What's going on? Where does Taxi fit in? 4-4-2 is the rumored element, and that's really it. There wasn't a lot of other news being broken there. One more thing before we get to the interview. Bill Hamid just tweeted, and this is what you do when you interview, when you do a spur of the moment episode. Bill just tweeted, 14 years made me a savage in goal. Whatever happens and wherever it happens, know that I'm still a savage. What I'm going through now is a part of the game and comes with this career. But when I'm on in due time. So folks, he's gone.
Yeah.
Do not buy a Bill Hamid jersey. If you see him in the streets, say thanks for everything. Thanks for all you've done for DC United, because it's clearly it's not going to be here.
Yeah. And by the way, also, I believe some news was dropped from Will Forbes. DC interested. Speaking of the goalkeeper situation, DC apparently interested in Tyler Miller.
We'll take him.
Who will take him? Obviously, I think that would be a good move. Number one, doesn't take it up an international slot that Romo does. So even if he's on Romo's level, who Romo, I will still contend has been serviceable. He's not fantastic. I think he lets in some goals maybe he should save, but he's serviceable. And I think he certainly is less error prone than John Kempen. So maybe he sticks around as a backup. Maybe, who knows at this point. But Tyler Miller, I think the team that is going to be a position of discussion is going to be goalkeeper, including defense, obviously goalkeeper as well. So that was yes. So that was sort of a short little episode there. I think we're going to wrap this up. Yes, quick episode. But we're going to get to the interview with Jackson Hopkins. So stick around for that. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. United 96 here on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network. We have a very, very special guest on the line. Future star, future prodigy of DC United, Jackson Hopkins. Jackson, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. We're hanging in. We're excited. Excited to watch you play out there, and glad you're taking some time to sit down. I guess I'll kind of kick it off. It's probably been a pretty wild year from you. If I recall correctly, you were planning, I think, to attend the University of Virginia, which is my parents' alma mater, so special place for them. And then suddenly you show up for preseason. You get invited to preseason. You impress well enough, get a professional contract. Some craziness going on as far as who your coach is for this year, and then it ends with Wayne Rooney. Wonder, can you reflect on that a little bit? Like, how's this year been going?
Yeah, it's been really fun and crazy and different. So I really enjoyed it. I think starting off, I was gonna go to school with UVA, which is a great place, and I was excited for that. But then I got a chance to go in preseason, and I thought I did pretty well there, and I ended up getting a contract. So that's always been my dream. I'm super glad it happened.
Ted just happened to ask you 17 questions all at once. So I'm gonna help. I'm gonna take it a step backwards here. First and foremost, I think the most important question: was it internet bullies that made you change all of your social media handles from Jackson Bunch of Numbers to what they are now? Was that what it was?
Yeah, that and my friends. I think I was getting made fun of a little bit, but
good. I'm glad that bullying sometimes works for good, and I think in this case is one of those. And we also need to talk to the DCU web admin and FootMob to get you a profile picture. Right now, you're like your silhouette outline. You know, I'm sure you've seen it. If I'm you, I'm checking that occasionally. So we gotta get that fixed. That's no longer acceptable. So your dad played at Chancellor High School and scored a bunch of goals in one year. I saw your interview with the Freelance Story. He scored like 30 something goals in one season, I think it was, which is bananas. And you played about a year of formal soccer in Fredericksburg before you went north for better competition maybe than what you could find down here. Talk about your youth soccer journey before you get involved with the DC United Academy and very briefly for the Red Bulls Academy, which I think maybe some people don't know. And how many hours were your parents and you stuck on 95 trying to get you to practice to those Northern Virginia practices?
Yeah, they did a lot for me. But I started at like FASA when I was like U9, U10, and played there for like two years, I think. And then that took me to U12. And U12, I went up and played at Arlington because I was when they first started the U12 Development Academy. So I thought that was probably the best league then. So I went to Arlington because they had the U12 team, and I did well there. And then after that, VDA was the best team in the area for that age group. So I decided to go there for 2 years, and then I went and joined DC. So
Kevin Paredes talked when he was here. Actually, every single player we talked to that's been through the academy described this experience. Until I got to the DC United Academy, I was the best player on every team I ever played on. I was the guy. And then I got to the academy and I was like, oh, these are all the guys. All of the guys are here. And now I'm just a guy with the guys. Is that your experience as you moved up the levels on the youth side?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when I got to the academy, I sat on the bench more than I ever have. And I think even up until like like March of 2021, I wasn't even starting all the time for the academy. So it's definitely better competition, but I think it makes you so much better if you're able to fight through that. Because it's definitely hard going through that when you've always played every minute your whole life. So I'm glad it happened, but I think if you're able to fight through that, it's definitely a great thing.
Well, I was kind of thinking about, what you've done this year, but and I almost neglected to mention you got a chance to go with the U20s to El Salvador, get the CONCACAF Champions Winners Medal, get the team into the Olympics for the first time since 2008. Obviously, the U20 World Cup coming up next year. You were kind of I think you were a little of a late addition to the squad, but talk about that experience. Any like big memories from that experience? Obviously, you got an assist. Talk us through what that was like.
It was awesome. I think I've always wanted to be a part of the national team at any level. So that was my first camp ever and tournament ever with the national team. So it was awesome for that to be such a big tournament. And, like so many, like we had to qualify for World Cup and the Olympics, obviously. So I think for that to be included in the tournament was huge because it's like we were playing a final every game. So that was really cool for me. And then I think the best memory from that would be the Honduras game, just because there's so many fans, a crazy environment. So it was really cool to play in.
I was going to ask, you've now experienced. I don't want to assume there were bottles of pee, which is the old classical Central American stereotype for what happens at games. But you got. I mean, it's only going to go up from here. You have been thrown into the Fire Dome, and now any national team game you play, it will only be probably about at that level. So
Yeah.
that's a good and like you said too, for your first experience, it's a tournament with consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you guys in the Olympics. That's really cool as opposed to just like a January friendly or something against whoever. That's great for you.
Yeah.
So we talked about the getting into the academy. The funny thing is you're only 18, so the gap in time between all of these elements is very short. One of them that reminds me that you're 18 was that you started out playing as a tot at the field house, and I remember being in college when they built that. So that's great. I love that. But let's talk about what Loudoun United was like for you. You played. You got. I remember from a highlights perspective, I will cop to not watching every Loudoun United game last year. It was pretty rough from a wins-loss perspective, and this year also a little bit. But Griffin Yao, I think, gave you an assist for your first goal. I think, maybe I'm wrong. You would remember better than me. But just talk about what Loudoun has been like for you as you now have already gotten the call up to the big team.
Loudoun was great. I think I came in there last July, end of July, kind of, after the academy season ended, and started training with them, and I was doing well. I think training with Ryan Martin every day and the whole staff there was great because they're great at developing players and pushing them on, and just he makes it a great environment. So that was a great experience for me. And then when I was doing well in training, I started to get rostered and got subbed in for like my first 8 games, and then I started in Miami and I got an assist, and then I just kept starting from then on. So it was good.
Well, you've had the opportunity. Obviously, the big news that's come up over the last week is Wayne Rooney's going to be the new coach for the team. Have you had a chance to speak with him? Has he had any words? We've heard from reports that he's very high on you. So I'm not trying to make your head too big. I got to keep you level. But what's that been like interacting with Wayne, who's obviously been a superstar for a long time?
It's been awesome just having him around. I still can't believe. Oops.
We can't either, man.
Yeah.
So you and us both.
Here's what you need to do. You need to find some phone number. You need to write Wayne Rooney on it, and in your phone, in your contacts list. And anytime you're in a situation you don't want to be around, just have that person call you, and then say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's Wayne. Go. I gotta go. Coach wants me." That's how it works, right?
Smart.
So yeah, that I had a question about that, sort of like trying to figure out, and it's hard because you're in it right now, so you've not had really time to process it. But like this is not a usual curve, I think, for a lot of young players, particularly not at DC United. Usually it takes a long time for young players to break through, and just from a short term here, from a week and a half of Wayne's sort of tenure, the dialogue around the team, the dialogue around the media is basically like, I want to see what this player can do. I'm going to give him the chances. You got to. I think you played a full 90 in Minnesota, which I think was your first time playing a full 90.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I'm just trying to get in your head for like how you sort of process that change. It probably feels natural to you because you have nothing to compare it to, but is that how you characterize it? Like, it's like, yeah, I don't know any better, so yeah, I just go out there every week and they put me out there, and they put me out there longer, and my coach is now Wayne Rooney, so that's life now. That's Jackson Hopkins' life.
Yeah, I just go every time something happens. I just go out there and work hard and just play for the team, and I think that's working for me.
So you've now had 3 head coaches in one season, which is, I thought I was the winner. At my job I've been at now, I've had 7 bosses in 5 years. So you win, I think, on a boss per year basis. Have you experienced differences in this really short amount of time? It's almost impossible. You've had a week and a half of Wayne, kind of, because again, he's consulting, quote unquote. So he's there, but he's not. So put us inside a training for Hernan that you got a very little slice of time with. You got preseason and a couple games with Chad, and now sort of what you imagine once Wayne is legally allowed to be your coach, what those trainings are like.
Yeah, with Hernan, it was always intense, and I think definitely high level and always working hard, and it was great. I think the team was doing stuff, and then when we started training with Chad, I think it was very similar. Chad did a great job. Also, he was keeping it intense. I think that's the biggest thing across the board is with all the coaches so far, just keeping it intense, because that's how you're going to get better. And then I mean, Chad did a great job of teaching us style of play and maybe improving some stuff that we needed to work on. And then now with Wayne, we're learning a new style of play. And he hasn't even had a training with us really out there on the field to really teach us. But I think the assistant coaches has done a great job of kind of relaying his message to us.
So we granted, a lot of us, as John said, have seen sort of limited minutes of you. We expect that to grow, certainly, and we're honestly looking forward to it. But I mean, if you could use like any sort of player, or even just if you want to describe your style of play, like how do you see yourself as a player? Like as far as positionally, what you try to do out there. You can even use, if you have a player that you idolize, that you sort of want to model yourself after. Feel free to say that as well.
Yeah, I think one player I feel like I play like is like Tom. I know it's weird timing, but Thomas Mueller. I feel like I play like him a little bit, just because I'm able to play like in a lot of positions. I feel like and play them well too. So I feel like he's one of the players I try to watch and model my game after almost. And then positionally, I think I've played anywhere in the midfield and anywhere from my whole life, so I really feel comfortable in any of those positions.
Is there any position that you like, that you more? I mean, you're comfortable in every position, but when you see yourself on the team sheet and the coach says you're going to play here, what gets you kind of the most excited to get out there?
I like playing 10 and right wing. Probably my 2 favorites right now. So.
That's
good. I think with 2 starts, his favorite place on the team sheet is on it. I think it currently. I think it will change. So we've got a question from one of our listeners at Beetlebums on Twitter, and we already talked about Rooney a little bit. And I just saw in an interview you were talking about the way that Hernan talked to you about, sort of gave you confidence and sort of saw where you were going to fit in as a player, and sort of what his expectations were for you. And again, he's not technically the coach yet; he's advising. Advisors can talk to players; that's allowed. Has he had an opportunity to sit down with you and sort of see, what his vision is for where you fit into the team, like what he wants out of you, what he hopes you can accomplish with the team, or are we not there yet?
Well, I haven't talked to him about any of that stuff yet. I think he's just been really focused on getting his style of play across to the team in such a short amount of time. So I know he said he's going to get around to talking to each player here soon. I'm sure he will once we get past Montreal and we have a break from the games for a week at least.
Once he gets a key card, once he has like an office and a key card, probably they'll have that time for that. What's it been like to? This is a crash course for. On top of training being different and everything else, you've had to now have a third sort of style of play. Obviously, when Hernan left, the conversation with Chad and the media was like, a lot of things are staying the same. I think it's very obvious, and the stats bear this out, that the frantic press that was really the hallmark of Hernan's time here at DC United was decreased, and then really, really decreased over time, I think. As a young player, what is it like to try to absorb all these different tactics? Obviously, your youth career was your youth career, and coaches probably, changed and cycled through, but I'm not sure that there were like big philosophical changes, 3 of them in a year. Has that been a challenge for you to sort of understand what the different expectations of you have been by all the coaches, or are you just rolling with it?
I think I've been just rolling with it, really. I think when I was in the academy and I went to Red Bull for that short time, that's obviously a big philosophical change also. So I think that's really helped me because I had trouble adjusting to that when I was younger. So I think going through that has really helped me like be prepared for this, because I think two changes really is not many players don't get that in their first few months as a pro. So I think going through that when I was younger definitely helped me just be ready for it to happen now.
This would be what you'd call, if you were working in like an office job, this would be the thing you'd say, like, I'm really adaptable to situations. I'm able to really, take changes in direction really easily. So, I don't think that's going to come up in your soccer resume, but if you were in an office, that's how you'd phrase it for your next interview. Ted, do you have any more questions?
Just kind of one final question, sort of, obviously adjustment from pro, we talk about going to the academy and suddenly you're not the best player anymore. And then suddenly you step into a pro team and not only you're not the best player, but, there are players who are much, much older. It's quicker. It's faster. Has there been a player on the roster currently that you felt like really sort of helped you adjust to that? I know a lot of people, I think a lot of the academy kids have talked about Bill Hamid as being sort of that guy. Were there any like players specifically that kind of, you kind of looked up to in those first months when you're trying to figure out what life is being like as sort of a professional soccer player?
Yeah, Bill helped me a lot. I think Donovan helped me a lot. Steve, Russ, they are all huge helps to me. And then Julian was a big help also. So they were all helping me, like just talking about the level and just really increased my understanding for the game big time when I was talking to them.
Got to work on the German to get taxi, right? That's got to work on that.
Yeah.
Russ and Julian probably teaching you some stuff, right?
You gotta play telephone. Jackson, this is a question I have to ask, and it's important. What's your Carl's order? What do you normally get when you go to Carl's? If you say you don't go, we're gonna have problems.
I haven't been in a long time, but I remember I used to get chocolate milkshake all the time.
Okay, that's acceptable. I was gonna listen. There aren't a lot of things down here, as you know. So like we gotta be evangelists for like the few things that we stand out, and it frozen custard is it. So if the team ever asks you like what is there to do down there, like you gotta mention that.
I will.
You gotta talk. You're like, we gotta get some ice cream, guys. We're gonna drive 45 minutes south, and we're gonna get some ice cream, and then we're gonna come back. That's what we're gonna do. Anyway, Jackson, we really appreciate you taking the time. This is it's been, I think you might be the first player interview of this season. So I know the media folks at DC United we're used to us bothering them every week for another player, but we're happy that you're the first one of this year. I'm happy that every time I see your name in an article, it says Fredericksburg, Virginia next to it. That's a big, sweet thing for me. People are going to get tired of me talking about it, but I don't care. And I hope you have, I wish you great luck for the rest of the season. I hope you are able to, stay healthy and achieve all the goals that you want to achieve for this season going forward. We really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, that was it. You've heard a micro episode of United 96, basically like a stream of consciousness episode with no planning and basically just seeing what was coming out on Twitter as we were talking. So that was fun. You got to hear that. And then you got to hear Jackson Hopkins talk about his experience here in 2021, 2022, and how now he is the new golden child. He didn't say that. We didn't really say that either, but it's kind of true. Anyway, so for our Patreon subscribers, you're going to get this episode tonight as soon as I edit and chop all this thing into little pieces and get it out to you. Everybody else, you're listening to this Wednesday afternoon. We used to do these a lot more often, and maybe we'll get into it again, particularly a benefit for our Patreon subscribers to get stuff early, but also these midweek episodes that are relevant and interesting to the listeners. So if you like these episodes, let us know. If you love these episodes and want to get them first, you can go to patreon.com/rfkrefugees and support them. We will see you guys Monday at 8:30, the way we always do on twitch.tv/rfkrefugees. And that's it. This is just John. Ted has left. John is now closing. He's sweeping up and closing the doors and turning the lights off. So that's what I'm doing now. We will see you Monday night. Vamos.